Retro.
Hey, Animaniacs fans, it's Joey from the Animanicast along with Nathan and Kelly.
Hello.
Hey.
And I had some special news to share with everybody, and that is that Tom Ruegger and Paul Rugg are going to have a live signing event on August 17th.
What?
Whoa. That's right.
That's awesome.
If you're like Nathan or Kelly and you live on the opposite side of the country from Tom and Paul, well, and you're like, I can't get to the conventions to visit them. It's too far. Nathan's in
I live
Hawaii.
on an island.
Yeah, Nathan's on a freaking island. He can't get to them. They can't get to him. It's too far to swim. Well, all you have to do is go to watertowertalent.com, and there's a link on there. You can select different pictures for them to sign, and then after you pay for those pictures, you'll get a link to a Zoom event, and you will be able to interact with Tom and Paul live on August 17th at 1 p.m.
Can I
Pacific.
sing for them?
I mean, you could, I suppose so. Sure, you could sing and ask. You can ask questions. You can do whatever you want, Nathan. Okay. So it's exciting. So go to watertowertalent.com and check out all those different pictures that you can get signed by Tom and Paul, and then you'll get the invite to join them, everyone, and hope to see you there on August 17th. All right. Bye.
Bye.
And welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Animanicast.
In 10,000 BC, the wild goat became the first animal domesticated for its milk. Of course, this came as a surprise to the wild goat.
Bah! Whoa! Bah! What are you doing? Bah! That's private back there! Bah! Hey! Cold hands! Bah!
And welcome to the first episode of Time Travelin' Tunes, the Hystericast. It's the sister series of the Animanicast, which of course is the podcast dedicated to the beloved animated series Animaniacs and all its related shows in the Rueggerverse. Yes. Today, we are jumping back in time with the zany cast of Histeria. We're going to be discussing the musical numbers, the skits, and the historical context they parody. And in the end, we're going to give the episode a Water Tower rating. I am Joey, and joining me once again are my co-hosts. There's my brother Nathan.
You know, I like Bran a lot. Oops, wrong script.
And across the country in Georgia, there's Kelly.
Hello.
Hello. I'm glad you caught that Bran line, which I thought was one of the weirder lines of today's episode. What's with the Bran? Anyway, yes, today we are talking about, we're talking about an episode of Hysteria. As we started this podcast, in 2015, I think. Yeah, I think so. 2015.
No way.
We've never mentioned Hysteria once.
Well, we've talked about the existence of Hysteria, but we've never actually reviewed an episode of Hysteria. Yeah, but we figured before we get back into the zaniness of Tiny Toons University second season, we could take a trip back in time. I'm sorry, back in time to Hysteria, since it's something that people do have they have an affinity for it, and it's also episodes, I believe, are being shown every Saturday morning. Last I checked, for an hour on Saturday mornings on MeTV Tunes. So if you have an antenna. You could watch it for free on Saturday morning, just like we did back in the 80s and 90s. Saturday morning cartoons are back, and actually that channel's awesome because it plays just classic cartoons all day and night, 24 hours. So check it out. I've checked it out a few times. It's pretty cool. It doesn't have Animaniacs. It doesn't have Tiny Toons or Pinky and the Brain, or yet it does have Freakazoid at 12:30 in the morning on Saturday nights. So it has Hysteria and Freakazoid. So we'll take what we can get at this point. But let me ask you guys this question before we get into our amazing trivia and our episode discussion. Did either of you have any knowledge at all of Hysteria before today? I'm going to go with Kelly first because I truly have no idea what she's going to say. Kelly, any prior knowledge of this show other than us mentioning it exists?
No, I've never watched it.
Ooh. And Nathan, what about you?
Oh, yeah. So I remember Hysteria being on and going like, "Well, this is a ripoff of Animaniacs. I'm going to support Animaniacs only." I don't even think I knew that it was the same thing.
I literally,
So, like, I was like, my affinity, I have loyalty to Animaniacs. That's where my loyalty lies. And I don't know. So I definitely saw some episodes, but I remember going like, well, I can't, like, that's funny, but I can't like it because it's, not Animaniacs. So
Nathan, everything you just said right there was exactly how I felt when I saw it premiere. It premiered in 1998, and I'm right with you. I saw it premiere on Kids WB, and I thought, okay, but where's Animaniacs? I want to watch Animaniacs. This was at the very beginnings of, any bits of knowledge of Animaniacs that they had back then online was what they put on the official Kids WB. And obviously they had the news groups and everything like that. But I didn't know anything about Usenet and everything like that back in the day. So I didn't know Animaniacs was canceled. I didn't know that this was the new thing. I didn't know that there was these whole things of you have to show educational content and, the whole story behind how it came to be. We'll have Tom on eventually to in the next couple episodes to let us know more about how Hysteria came to be. But we figured instead of starting on episode 1 today, we'd start at the beginning of time because I have the entire series on DVD. You can get it on DVD, and I purchased it almost in part because when we went to Animaniacs in concert, Randy Rogel would sing like the entire second half of Animaniacs in concert is honestly, it's a lot of Hysteria songs. And there would be a bunch of songs that I'd be like, well, that was a pretty cool song. I should check out Hysteria. And so I went on Amazon. It was on sale for 30 or 40 bucks. I said, sure, it's a full thing. And yeah, it's a lot of content and it's a lot of good comedy. A lot of it is parroting or it's salutes to things like Monty Python and a lot of other really great stuff. So I think it's definitely worth a discussion. I asked Tom to give us his top episodes. Like, what are your top episodes? What do you think we should review? And his response was, well, I wrote Dawn of Time completely, but honestly, I like all the. She goes, I like all of them. So we're just gonna pick some moments in history that we have some interest in and go from there. So we're gonna start with today's episode, Dawn of Time, which was written by Tom Ruegger completely instead of multiple people. So without any further ado, let's get into our discussion of Hysteria, Dawn of Time. So Dawn of Time was the 38th episode of Hysteria, and it premiered on April 3rd of 1999. And Nathan, why don't you go ahead and give us our Hysteria Facts theme song for today's episode?
Every episode, Joey asks me for the Hysteria facts for this episode. And I tell him I figure something out and I'll Google some things to him. And that's what it is. It's a song about that. It goes like this, and now it's
what?
done.
Okay, it cut off right at the end. I was like, "Ooh,
Well,
anticipation."
That's how you got to get it.
You know, I
so-
was just thinking, AI.
Yeah.
Good luck, AI, coming up with a song that's as good as that. All right. Good luck.
I just reading off ChatGPT's suggestion. So no. So this is either episode 38 or 39, depending on if you're looking at IMDb or Wikipedia. So IMDb says 39, Wikipedia says 38. I don't know which ones are reliable. The world will never know.
Again, that might be something that Tom might. Okay, I'm adding that to my list of a question for Tom. Is this episode 38 or 39? Because the world must know. This is important stuff.
We don't know. What we do know is that it did come out on Saturday, April 3rd, which was just 3 days after the cultural touchstones. We've got The Matrix and 10 Things I Hate About You. It was also 1 day after Steve Martin and Goldie Hawn star in a remake of the 1970s movie, The Out-of-Towners.
I remember seeing that.
I
and
saw
not
that,
really
I think,
liking
in
it.
theaters. So
I think we did see it in the theaters, and it's pretty forgettable.
And top of the charts on this day, we had Sugar Ray's Every Morning. We had Cher's Believe. We had Britney Spears' Baby One More Time, and Goo Goo Dolls Slide.
That is some 90s music right
That is
there.
some
90s
good music.
So
Good music.
yeah, if you want to get in the mood for this episode, listen to those songs. And that's what everyone was listening to on the radio.
Okay, so everyone listen to this podcast on one speaker and then radio in the background with those 4 or 5 tracks on repeat.
Yeah.
And you're going to be in 1999 again.
You won't believe how great it will sound.
I'm going to have to work on auto-tune for that, Nathan, and see what I can do. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get straight into our discussion today's episode, and we're gonna break down today's episode completely differently, I should say, than any other previous ones, because it's not split up in our typical beginning, middle, and end. It's a group of skits, some longer than others. So we figured I should just kind of say what the skit was in a few words. We'll play some audio from it, and then you guys can share your thoughts about whether or not you thought the skit was funny. Make sense? Sure. Yeah, why not? All right. Well, Dawn of Time was like I said, it was written by Tom Ruegger, and it was directed by Bob Doucette, John Griffin, John McClanahan, and Dave Pryor, who's listed as David Pryor. That's right. This is a StarToons episode. I really, just side note, because I may forget, in case I forget to talk about it later, the animation in this episode was really, really great. And just as a side note, the orchestrations by Richard Stone and Steve and Julie Bernstein with a full orchestra was so refreshing. It was so refreshing to see great animation and hear amazing music in the background. Because we in Tiny Toons University, I think it's a synthesizer. It's definitely not a full orchestra feel to that show. And looking and sounding wise, this is amazing stuff. Okay, let's get right into it. Starts off cold open with In the Beginning. Okay, and I believe it's Jim Cummings giving us his. I think he's listed as having he's the man with the deep voice or something on the credits for today's episode. That tells about God and how the universe was created.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And then came
Hysteria!
Hysteria! Hysteria! Hysteria!
And then they go into introducing Hysteria, and they say Hysteria over and over. They say that's the running gag. They do that in Hysteria. That's one thing I know for sure for the few episodes I've seen. They're going to say the words hysteria a lot. Then they get into the theme song, which I don't know if you guys knew this or not, and I'm assuming Kelly didn't know this since this is the first episode you've ever watched. There are at least 2 theme songs to Hysteria. This being one of them. Yeah, they switched back and forth. So let me just here. I'm just Googling Hysteria theme song, and it's called Hysteria. Was the second most used theme song, and I think that was not today's. Yes, today. So we have the one they didn't play the most. The Hysteria March, I think, is what it is. Let's see here. The Hysteria March is the theme song. It's sung by the kids' chorus. Yes, I think this is it. This is the Hysteria March. Yes. Okay, so this is the Hysteria March, and then there's another theme song called Hysteria. Personally, I kind of like the other theme song just a little bit more. This one is especially frustrating. There are no closed captions on the DVD. It's so frustrating. How do you put a DVD out? Shouldn't the ADA sue the Warner Brothers for this? You can't put a DVD out with no closed captioning at all. Anyway, there's no closed captioning on this. There's for the complexity of the words on this, it's frustrating that there was none. So I'll just kind of read through this. It says, now it's time to watch Hysteria, just like people in Bulgaria. It's a show that's beyond comparia, comedy, history, and imbecility. Here's Father Time, no one's hairier. Big fat baby's smell might scare ya. Loud Kiddington's yell will bury ya. Have a blast in the past with our screwy cast. Meet Pepper, Charity, Aka, and Toast. And Miss Info. And here's Froggo. World's oldest woman chases the host on Hysteria in stereo. Through time and space, our crew is gonna race. History we chase while smashing jokes and laughs right in your face. Through centuries, we'll meet celebrities. We pay them hefty fees to join our showcase. From Sumeria to Siberia, we'll carry ya if necessary. Just to share ya a crazy area of antiquaria on Hysteria. We swear ya and declare ya, extraordinaria is Hysteria. So prepare ya for hilaria. We dare ya to watch Hysteria. Similarities, I think. I mean, Tom wrote that song. It's not put down on the. I could kind of say with great certainty, this sounds like a Tom Ruegger theme song to me. And similar aspects to the Animaniacs theme song, honestly. Like obviously introducing the different characters and what they do, like the world's oldest woman chases the host. We'll get into her theme song later, which also kind of sounded a little familiar. But I really like reading this. I'm like, oh, that's really clever. I just wish I could understand what they said when they were, because it's with the kid chorus, it kind of, at least in my brain, kind of blended together. Did you guys have that same issue, or is that just me?
No, I couldn't understand. I heard the word hysteria about 30 times, and that was about it.
Kelly, what about you?
Yeah, I couldn't make out much of it.
See, gotta have closed captions. Telling you. All right. Well, I like the lyrics. I just wish I could have understood them a little bit more. Well, anyway, there's your theme song, read explicitly to you. So now we all know the words. Well, it starts off with
we can sing along. Yeah, it's not a song you can sing along to very well.
No, complete side note. It is on my list of things to do, which is an ever growing list of. This would be on my list of fun things to do in my brain. which gets pushed aside by the things I have to do to, I don't know, keep my job in real life. But I'd love to take some clips from Hysteria and actually put the lyrics to them on the bottom, almost like Follow the Bouncing Ball or something like that, where people can read along. And yeah, it's frustrating to me. There's no captions. Okay, well, Father Time. We start off after the theme song. Father Time is explaining the Big Bang Theory with a reenactment from Loud Kiddington. Loud Kiddington is voiced by someone who's been on the show before, Cody Ruegger. And Cody's Loud Kiddington, and this is an ongoing a segment they've done. They do I think in every episode of Hysteria. I almost said Animaniacs, where Father Time introduces a reenactment, and please turn up the volume on your TV sets.
At this time, we ask you to turn up the volume of your TV set to its maximum level. Thank you. And now the beginning of the universe, the Big Bang. Thank you. Bravo.
That's how the universe began!
Right.
As simple as this is, it made me chuckle, especially thinking to Saturday mornings. And I talked to Tom about this in Atlanta, how what makes me laugh more than even this is the idea that there were kids in the late 90s waking up early on Saturday morning and following
Like
the
6 a.m.
instructions.
sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
Following the instructions. Yeah. If you were like us in Tucson, where the only way to watch Kids WB was to watch the WGN feed, which means that you're getting Chicago's 2 hours later. So, yes.
Yeah, I remember getting up sometimes earlier on a Saturday than I would on a
Oh, yeah. We'd have to
weekday,
wake up at
so
5 or
it's
6.
like 4, 5, and just like, oh, I got it. Like, I'm watching. Yeah, I got to see Superman or whatever. Like,
Exactly. Superman, I believe, was at 7 a.m. at the latest, I think, for us was Superman. Anyway, so the idea of kids turning up their volume really loud on their TV sets and waking their parents up makes me smile. What did you guys think of the Big Bang Theory here with Loud Kiddington and Father Time? Kelly, let's start with you.
I didn't like Loud Kiddington. Probably expectedly. It was just, I didn't like him. I thought it was going to be just the one time or whatever, and he did it throughout the whole episode because obviously that's his shtick. But yeah, it annoyed me. Maybe I'm sure if I had seen it as a kid, it would have been hysterical.
Hysteria.
It would have been Hysteria. I agree. I think being an adult now, I think mission accomplished that he annoyed you. Perhaps I think as a kid, I could definitely see where kids would get a kick out of this guy, knowing that it's such a simple way to annoy adults, and how Father Time is tries to redirect as best he can with this loud, obnoxious kid. Nathan, what did you think about Loud Kiddington and the Big Bang?
It was educational, I guess, right? 20 billion years ago, I got it. 20 billion. I don't know. It's fine.
It was fine. Well, the next thing that we have going on here is we start talking about time periods. And at first I thought they were going to do the Ice Age. I thought we were doing that, but no. We were doing, what is it, 300 million BC or something like that, before the dinosaur.
million years ago, it says.
Yes.
So
yeah,
it'd be
300 million.
300
Yeah,
million
no,
BC.
300,000. Yes. Yeah, 300 million BC. January 3rd was a Tuesday. Yes. It was, which I don't know. I think one of the interesting things about this episode was the more we learn about ancient Earth, I haven't heard that it was necessarily started off as a cold planet. If anything, I think I've heard that it started off as a very hot place.
Well, he was saying it got
cooled.
unexpectedly cool, meaning it was hot before that. So,
Oh, okay. Sure, we'll take that.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that was when he said Earth was created was 300 million. He just said that Earth got really cold
No, he didn't. I
300
don't think
million
he
years
said
ago.
he did not say it was Earth was created, but that it warmed up and then we got to the age of reptiles. So yeah. So then Big Fat Baby, also voiced by a character, an actor, I should say, who's been on our show, Luke Ruegger, who
Sounds
really does
the same.
It sounds if you have conversations with Luke today, you're going to be annoyed real quick because he's constantly farting and making baby noises.
Has it changed a bit? I don't know.
Yes, the voice of the Flame, and now the voice of Big Fat Baby, and really sounds like I will say he committed to that role very well. Also, speaking of there's one more Ruegger. Nate Ruegger voices Froggo. I believe influenced by I think the kid was named, was it Froggy or Froggo or Croaky or something like that on the Little Rascals? Remember there's that one kid on Little Rascals that had that little, it has to be, that's got to be. Tom likes Little Rascals. Wacko is based upon one of those kids in Little Rascals as well. So yeah, Frog, that's a salute to that. Anyway, Big Fat Baby gets stepped on by a dinosaur, and we get to have our first segment with misinformation, talking all about them dinosaurs.
Well, howdy, y'all. Today we're talking about the dinosaurs who ruled the Earth for 180 million years. Then, suddenly, 65 million years ago, the dinosaurs left town. They split. Adios, muchachos, hasta mañana.
And she interviews the dinosaurs. Lorraine Newman voices misinformation. Lorraine Newman is perhaps best known. She's now a accomplished voice actress, but I would say back probably 1999, she was known for being one of the original cast members on Saturday Night Live. I think she played Connie Conehead, is probably the reoccurring character she was most known as, the youngest Conehead of the bunch. But yeah, she interviews the dinosaurs, a Brontosaurus and a T-Rex voiced by Rob Paulson, one of them doing a very quiz me quick game show announcer kind of voice.
Nice to eat you. Meet you.
And the Brontosaurus sounding, very much like a Jimmy Stewart.
Hello.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think I know Tress MacNeille was at least one of the dinosaurs there, maybe all three of them. It's kind of hard to tell. Cree Summer is also one of the voice actresses in here, so she could have been voicing some. They're not all credited. There's so many characters in this episode that even in the credits, I don't think they even list them all. But she talks about extinction and how the meteor came down and killed them all, and at the end, it's kind of confusing about, well, why are you still here if you all went extinct? We just stopped by to have a bite, and misinformation gets eaten by one of the T-Rexes.
Bye-bye, y'all.
The end. There's your skit on that. What did you folks think of this skit with misinformation? Anything that made you smile, laugh, etc.? Nathan, what did you think?
I liked hearing Zoidberg. It was a lot of fun.
Glad to see you.
I'm glad to be seen.
It's got to be one of the first times that you heard Billy West do that Zoidberg. And the funny thing is, with the Stegosaurus, he's orange as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it really matches Zoidberg.
Yeah. It's a early, it's probably at least related to Zoidberg, you know.
Yeah, he's some relation, right? An ancient Zoidberg.
Yeah, exactly. This is, that's his, the genealogy goes back there.
If you ever get the chance to talk to Billy West, I'm going to have to ask Billy West where that voice comes from. Where'd that come from? Anyway, Nathan, what else you got here?
I thought there was a lot of fun, like little puns about food, I guess. Mostly, that's mostly what the segment is. It's just like how many puns about how we like our food prepared.
The entire world was like a giant sizzler.
I
I enjoy a nice salad bar.
Or, if you prefer, you could have a steak.
Fortunately, I like my steaks rare because that's the way they always came.
Occasionally, during a lightning storm, you might get a steak medium well.
But that was rare. A rare joker.
And that we eat meat or something, you know, like it on the go or something, you know, like, yeah. So it was fun. I don't know. I don't know if I actually laughed at any of it, but it was cute. And just kind of putting the extinction of a whole set of dinosaurs into a comical light. It was fun, I guess.
I wish there would have been, now that the knowledge is more that the dinosaurs didn't necessarily go extinct, but that they simply evolved into the birds that we know today. I wish that there was some of that, but I can't be too harsh on it. This was something that happened over, was written approximately 25 years ago. So,
Yeah.
It probably wasn't, in the narrative back then of dinosaurs. Kelly, what about you? What did you think about our dinosaur skit?
There was one line, I can't remember exactly what it was, but they were talking about extinction, and then the woman says, "So then what did you do?" or something along those lines, and they're like, "What do you mean? We were extinct?" And so I thought that was funny.
Don't you get it? We're extinct. That means gone. Forever. Well then, what are y'all doing here?
Good question, hon. We just dropped by to grab a quick bite.
Well, that's so sweet.
Not really knowing what the whole thing of extinction meant to the person. I'll tell you one thing that really made me laugh was how their forget the name of the friend who saw this Sid. That's the name. Sid,
Oh, yeah.
their friend, saw the meteor and he went out to go catch it.
So anyways, one of my buddies, Sid, he tries to catch it. What a nut! And then it comes down and who knew? It's bigger than a mountain. And Sid is all, uh-oh. Anyways, this thing landed.
So the idea of this Tyrannosaurus Rex, like, oh, I'm going to get that big thing that's bigger than a mountain and lands right on top of him. That was humorous.
I like the way she said dinosaur. Like, remind me of
I know
Jurassic
DNA.
Park. Exactly.
Yep.
I kept thinking of that with her accent. So that was the other thing.
Now, I'm not sure if Lorraine Newman is a Southern girl or not, but Kelly, what do you think? Is it an accurate voice right there for?
I mean, there's different kinds of Southern accents.
That's true.
And I can enhance mine if I want. Sometimes I catch myself saying, "Oh, I did that once or twice." Twice. But I mean, it sounded fine to me. It wasn't glaringly bad or anything, so I don't know if it sounded fine. Whether it's real or not, I have no idea. But I mean, there's some people with actual, their real voices sound almost unnatural because they're so pronounced.
Yes.
Like in rural parts of Georgia and stuff. I've got family members that I swear, they have a real Southern accent. Sometimes you can't even understand what they're saying because it sounds very different to the ear.
Yeah, I love rural accents, whether it's here in America or I was watching the Jeremy Clarkson farming show from England, and it's like I think, was it Shaun of the Dead or one of those, when they have the these characters that live in the more rural areas and they just kind of, well, Albert, and you're like, what did they just say? And there's always like somebody who understands exactly what they're saying all the time.
It reminds me of Channing Tatum and Deadpool as Gambit.
Yes.
Because I thought that was a very parodied accent, but I was reading something today that they said that for that part of Louisiana or whatever, what he was speaking was pretty on the spot. So I don't know. I've only been to Louisiana when I was a very, very small child, and I don't haven't spoken to people with accents like that.
Well, we'll have to have a Animanicast meetup in Louisiana and see get our judge of our. We'll judge for ourselves.
I would
Review
love
'em.
to go and see the cemeteries in New Orleans. I think that would be great.
All right, it's a date. Let's go. Let's all meet in a cemetery. Okay.
That would be so cool.
Okay, so moving on. Where the dinosaurs are now extinct. I guess they're in dinosaur purgatory or something like that. Which
Purgatory, here we come.
come.
Sorry.
So 25,000 to 3,000 BC. Father Time talks to us about how fishing happened, starting with just a fishing line, and then with nets, and then to boats and stuff. It was pretty cool. And the neat running gag that they start with this is the fish story. It starts with Toast talking to the other kids about a fish was this big, and oh yeah, that's why we're eating. What are they eating? Rocks at first?
Had to be a 20-pounder for sure.
Yeah, right.
I'm so sure.
And that's why we eating rocks.
Mm-hmm.
And then the whale has one, and then later on the lions have a story, and the gag is that, it's the same setup. I thought it was, hey, rule of three. I think they did it 3. And I got a chuckle out of that running gag they created right there.
No, really, it's true. It was yay wide. It had to be a 50-pounder.
Yeah, right.
I'm so sure.
And that's why we eating grass.
Man did create the bow as well, and he shoots it and hits the oldest woman in the hair. She tells him he's going to knock his eye out. And finally, we have Father Time discussing the domestication of animals. And we have a very John Wayne-ish Mongolian man talking about how the dogs were great. And not only that, but they could, if times were tough, you could eat them.
That's right. We taught the wolf to be friendly, protective, helpful in hunting. And when times got tough, they also proved to be pretty darn good eating.
Say what? Gotta catch up with the pack. Later.
And that upsets the dog very much. He runs away. And, of course, domestication, farm animals. We talk about the pig, and Porky Pig comes out.
Pigs!
The chicken, and Foghorn Leghorn comes out.
Chickens!
I'm a rooster, son, not a chicken. Pay attention. I say pay attention, boy. I'm talking to you.
And the cow, which isn't just any cow. This is like an ancient mean cow called the auroch. So the Tasmanian devils, the auroch, and the Tasmania theme plays, and he kind of chases Big Fat Baby around the place, or gets ridden by Big Fat Baby. Yeah. Until he finds out that Big Fat Babies might eat him, and then that makes Taz angry.
But the early farmer finally prevailed. The auroch, or cow, was the last major animal to be tamed as a food source.
What? Food source? Why, you little...
So there's your domestication of animals, and stuff. Oh yeah, they tried to domesticate buzzards. That doesn't work. They try to domesticate lions. That doesn't work either. Bad. Don't try it with a lion. They're going to eat you. I think that pretty much as I'm writing, Nathan is adding additional things to our notes. It's just 18,000 BC. What do we got, Nathan?
Yeah. Well, it's weird. The babies, they tell you the dates of things.
That's true. On the little just like you would Baby New Year, you have to have it across the baby's what's the thing called? You wear them at prom and stuff.
Sash.
A
It's the sash thing. Yeah. So the babies, you can always check what date it is.
I wanted to know when the bow was created. It doesn't really tell you.
After the fishing line is basically all we get, right?
Yeah. Well,
which makes you wonder, is that actually true or not? Or I don't know. It's hard to say. Yeah. I used to know some of this stuff. My minor was anthropology because I liked Indiana Jones. That's the only reason I got into anthropology and archaeology. Was just
that may be why I took anthropology. But the only thing I remember from that class is we watched a little movie with William Shatner speaking Esperanto.
Yeah,
so we learned about Esperanto with that.
Yeah, I think God, did he do Hamlet or Shakespeare or something like that in Esperanto? I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. I don't know. Let's move on. What did you guys think of I guess we could call it the early man section of this, Kelly?
It wasn't that interesting to me.
Oh no.
Yeah, I mean the fishing and the boats and stuff, that wasn't interesting. The animals got a little more interesting. I felt bad for the goat that was like the first to be milked. She was very shocked at what was going on. And then they were drinking the goat's milk, and I was like, no, that's not pasteurized. Because, not good. But yeah, those are my thoughts.
I think that I did mention the goat being milked. That did make me truly laugh out loud. The reaction, the Tress MacNeille screaming, private,
yeah,
cold hands, yeah. Nathan, what about you? What did you think about this segment?
It was interesting. I mean, I liked the learning about the domestication of animals. I think was the most interesting part, like Kelly was saying. The fishing one went on much longer than it needed to. Like I didn't need the invention of the fish jokes or whatever. The fish stories.
The rule of three did not work for you then.
Yeah, it wasn't enough of a payoff to like do that 3 times. I was like, I could have this episode be 45 seconds shorter. I wouldn't mind and not have that joke and just get to the next thing.
I was gonna say I like the buzzard part where he says to the kids, "Buzz off, or I'll take your something about I'm gonna poke your eyeballs out and use them as marbles."
Can we tame you?
No, drop dead. Buzz off or I'll peck your eyes out and play marbles with them. Yeah.
Forget it.
Sheesh! What a grouch!
It's like that was a pretty gruesome joke right there. But yes.
I mean, yeah, even because the lions do it, and like I don't know, it was a weird part where it's just like this is a story you're never gonna believe, and then they say try us, we're gullible, and then it goes to like commercial break. Like I didn't get that. That was a weird transition. It felt like something was like here's a story you're never gonna believe, and then he never says anything after that or something. Like I don't know what was going on there.
Oh, like there was supposed to be some more after the "we're gullible" line, and it just kind of cut off.
Maybe I don't know.
Here's another story they're never gonna believe.
Try us. We're gullible.
I will say the thing that I think comedy-wise, I think it worked pretty well for me. The one thing I kind of threw me a little bit was that the time period, timeline-wise, jumped back and forth a couple.
Yeah.
Like that threw me off a little bit. Like, wait, now we're going back.
I think
after we're going back in time
it's
to
trying to show like
investigation.
the evolution of how fishing goes.
Yeah, here's
and then,
fishing,
and then the bow and arrow is just kind of thrown in there because it's like it doesn't even say when that's created because it's just like and then it goes and then it kind of does a time period of the domestication of animals.
Gotcha. All right.
The auroch I thought was interesting. I didn't know about that. About that was the last of the domesticated animals.
I'm interested to see what an auroch looks like in real life. Does he look like a big giant cow?
Yeah, he looks like a big cow. I don't know.
I was going to assume he looked like an oxen or something.
Just think of it as a big cow. I like
cow.
cows.
Yeah. It looks like an ox.
I was quoting Jurassic Park.
Oh, I like cows. Yes.
Yeah.
Now I remember it. And then he sneezed on his arm.
I don't see. I am Googling it, and it looks like Auroch is just a place in Germany. Am I spelling it right?
It's AUROCH.
Oh, ROCH.
It's where all the aurochs are from. It actually sounds like very mythical creature, doesn't it?
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, everyone Google what an auroch
It was only extinct as of 1627. So it's still fairly, yeah.
Maybe
Not like-
somewhere deep in the woods, you'll still hear the mythical of an auroch.
Yeah.
Just listen for a Tasmanian devil and you'll find him. Well, we come back from a commercial, I suppose, and it's the world's oldest woman. They have a theme song for the world's oldest woman that is very similar to Slappy Squirrel's theme song.
I made that connection too.
She's been around since the earth was begun. Histeria presents the world's oldest woman.
I dated the missing link. Let me tell you, you didn't miss much.
She's old.
Yeah, I don't think they're even trying to hide it.
No, it wasn't. It was not hidden really at all, and I was perfectly fine with it. This is very similar to even have like Bill Straitman is very much a Carl Reiner character to Mel Brooks's The 10,000-Year-Old Man. This is absolute kind of I don't know if either of you are familiar with those bits that Carl Reiner and Mel Brooks used to do, but
I only know
very
the
similar.
one that Homer does in The Simpsons.
And I'm not
he's
really
talking to Mel Brooks. Yeah.
Oh,
There's an episode.
Carl
where he's
Reiner
a
was
chauffeur.
on it with him.
Yeah, or something like that.
Yeah.
And he wants to play the world's 10,000 oldest man. So.
Okay. This is not really.
But it's only
familiar at all
about
to me.
10 seconds long. That's the only thing I remember.
Well, they made comedy albums like there. I had the 2000 year. Was it the 10,000-year-old man? The 2,000-year-old man. The 2,000-year-old man. Oof. So I was off by 8,000 years. The 2,000-year-old man, and in the year 2000 is the album that I listened to a lot. And it was very, very funny and very similar to the idea of dating. In this case, she dated Adam.
Do you remember your first date?
Of course, Adam.
You mean the Adam from the Garden of Eden?
Absolutely, my first boyfriend. Nice kid, but he had a very limited wardrobe, not a flashy dresser or anything like that.
You mean he was nude?
Naked as a jaybird. Oh, my parents had a conniption fit. You are not going out with that naked boy again. So we had to break up.
By the way, sir, are you married?
I have been married several hundred times.
Several hundred
Yes.
times?
Yes.
You have been married. Do you remember all your wives?
One I remember well.
Which one was that?
The third one, Shirley. I remember her, a redhead.
I'm afraid to ask the next question. You had many hundreds of wives.
Hundreds and hundreds of wives.
How many children do you have?
I have over 42,000 children. And not one comes to visit me. In an afternoon.
That's terrible.
You bet. How they forget a father.
Some cool jokes in here, at least I thought. Talking about how, Eve wasn't really in the picture back then. She was just a rib. Talk about Tony Roma's onion rings and breathing on him, which was gross. They had, when Eve finally came around, they had the same kind of clothes. I guess you could say it was a match made in heaven.
They had me over to their place for dinner.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Eve made a lovely fruit compote, and I don't know what she put in it, but it tasted so good, it was sinful.
Oh.
Yeah, venial, not mortal.
Oh, I see.
So, yeah. Oh, and then the next day, boom, suddenly they move out.
They left Eden?
Yeah, in a big kind of a hurry. Some kind of a problem between them and their landlord. Oh, you should have heard the fight. Much wailing and the gnashing of teeth.
Oh.
Anyway, they blew town. I hear that they settled down and had kids, Speaking of which, you married?
I really like Tress MacNeille's performance in this. I laughed many times, but what did you guys think about it? Nathan, we'll start with you this time. What did you think?
Yeah, I think if you know the story of Adam and Eve, I guess you get some good, funny jokes, things like coming out of the rib and, getting kicked out of Eden. The fruit salad. I bet there's like apples in there. I
betcha. I betcha.
So, I thought they did a good job with the jokes without necessarily saying the punchline. You know what I mean? I mean, they could have even been even more heavy-handed, I guess, on them. So it's fine. I guess nowadays, I don't know if you would do this without doing more religious ones or what, like, because now it's like, oh, this is only Christianity. Like, so it's like, well, what is it? I don't know. But I mean, that's
it was a very
really in
Judeo-Christian
America.
based
Yeah.
thing, right? Yeah.
So,
yeah,
but,
I got you. I get you with that.
but
although
I mean, yeah.
I was going to say, I believe, and I could be completely wrong on this, and if I am, it'll be edited, and then no one will know. But I believe in the Quran. Isn't the Quran at least a lot of moments of it are Adam and Eve are in the Quran? I believe as well. I think.
Let's Google it. No, I don't know.
So it's not.
No, yeah, it's like
there's a lot of similarities with the stories of obviously Christian, Jewish, and Muslim stuff with up to a point, and then they stopped. Kelly, what do you think? What did you think about the oldest woman right here?
Well, like we already established from the beginning, she reminded me a lot of Slappy. I did not like the onion breath thing. That was gross. But I did think that the writing was a little punchier in this segment versus the fishing poles and stuff. I liked the one about the rib, which you've already mentioned. I mean, I think you mentioned most of the lines.
Yeah,
so,
I wrote down things as I was hearing them, going, funny. That's funny. I got that.
Yeah, it was. And I don't know if it was funny, but it was notable that she really drove home the fact that they were naked. Like, he really just kept, driving that point home. And talked about how Adam and Eve had the same taste in clothes, which means they didn't wear any, which was funny. I mean, I didn't actually laugh, but it's kind of funny that she said that, but then the image above her head had them wearing the leaves.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
leaves aren't clothes. You can't wear that in Walmart.
I mean, tell that to Project Runway, right? I mean, because they make clothes out of anything. I mean, I think that show's still on, but they used to make
like it could be a Met
make clothes out of
Gala thing.
anything. Yeah, I mean, you get creative, but so yeah, that's my opinion on it.
I'm gonna go back in time to our discussion because I forgot to mention it earlier, but it has something to do with a little bit what we're talking about. Eden and the very beginning where they're saying hysteria all the time. They show Eden and they show a snake in it, and that snake is, well, he looks really identical to in the garden. Was it called In the Garden of Slappy or In the Garden of Eve? I don't know. Yeah. So very similar to
Garden,
Animaniacs.
I think it was called.
Garden the Garden. Thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
Garden the Garden. Snake looked very, very similar. And of course, StarToons animated that one too. So it kind of makes sense that they just bring out that model sheet. And this is how we do snakes in the Garden of Eden. Show them right there.
I mean, no sense in reinventing the wheel, right?
No. But it was nice to see him. Yeah, oldest woman, by the way, does appear at least in one episode of Animaniacs. I think she was in the Chicken Boo, in like the Good, the Boo, and the Ugly. No, not that one. She was in the Daniel Boo, or
they had to circle the wagons or something.
Yeah,
I don't know which one that is.
Like a Davy Crockett or Daniel Boone.
Yeah, that might be
one.
David Crockett.
Yeah. Well, anyway, let's go ahead and move on to really our last segment here, where it's talking about, I think it was talking about when was creation, right? When was creation? And what's kind of cool about this is that it talks about, I believe, the Greeks and then the Christians and the, like Montezuma, he was Aztec, right? Or Mayan. I forget. Oh, anyway.
Leprechauns.
The leprechauns, the Celtic belief, I suppose. I
guess. I was like,
who, like, when did the Earth begin? When it comes to cultural reference, was right here. Saint Paul looks like Paul McCartney.
The year of creation to me was 5490 BC.
That's beautiful.
The song?
No, the silence when you stopped.
James Usher is played by not one but two leprechauns, and I believe, it's from a Looney Tunes cartoon. I know there's a cartoon. It escapes me, but it has leprechauns in it. I want to say it's Leprechauns and Bugs Bunny. Oh well, there's people out there. You look, if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, those leprechauns are Looney Tunes characters, and Montezuma is voiced by Paul Rugg, doing his Ricardo Montalban impression, if I'm not mistaken.
And finally, from the 16th century, the Aztec leader in Mesoamerica, Montezuma.
The date of creation was February 10th, 3641 BC. I think it was a Wednesday. Water?
Not a chance.
Big Fat Baby drinks some water that Montezuma pours for him. And if you've ever heard of Montezuma's Revenge, that's what happens to Big Fat Baby right there. Happened to my grandfather when we went to Mexico. Not the ride in Knott's Berry Farm. No. I think the ride in Knott's Berry Farm might give you similar side effects, but it is typically more fun. But there, at the very end of this, instead of coming to an agreement, much like many religions and thoughts of this, they just start violently hitting each other.
So how do we come up with a date of creation that we can all agree upon?
We know how.
How?
Like this.
Do finish up, however, with the conclusion that among all the things that people say that God created the heavens and the earth, but also rested, which means the weekend was created, and they show everybody kind of relaxing on the beach, having fun, and they all say the name of the show.
Hysteria. Yeah.
Yes, several times to let you know. Yes,
in case you forgot.
You watched the show. Well, what did you think of this last section? Nathan, we'll start with you.
I just wish I could remember what the show was called that I was watching while I was watching.
Kelly? Oh, no, was anything else? Yes.
No, it's good. I mean, I guess they just left it very open. And then obviously all these dates are well after the dates that they've already given. I think the oldest date was 5,000 something BC, and that's this, that was when had already finished domesticating animals by then. They do stuff like that. So
they do. I did like how they actually went almost in a concluding statement. Father Time gives that it started. Scientists believe this actually after that whole fight breaks out. He says, scientists now believe this happened. The universe was created 4.5 billion years ago. And no matter how it happened, which is something that we can all agree upon, is that however this stuff was created, it was created.
We're here now, whether you like it or not.
Yes, something happened. All right. That's what happened. And what a great conclusion is whether you agree with this or this, hey, something happened. Kelly, what did you think about the whole creation segment right here at the end?
I thought it was kind of interesting. So I did like how it did say that, on this one thing we can agree that it did happen. Which actually, now that I'm saying that out loud, it reminds me of the ending of Ever After, where Danielle's descendant, it says, anyway, she says something like, whatever fairy tale you believe or whatever, it did happen. My grandmother was real or something like that. Anyway, Sorry, I've been watching Ever After videos on TikTok. But I was concerned watching the beginning of the episode when they start off with the Big Bang, because you never know where they're going to go from there with that, how controversial it's going to be. It's kind of a touchy subject in a lot of places. So I liked that they incorporate the Judeo-Christian aspect of it and the scientific aspect of it, and then kind of say a lot of people can't agree, but the universe was created, and that kind of leaves it open-ended as to what you want to believe, which sort of disarms people. And if you kind of cover all your bases, you're either going to piss off everybody or you're going to make everybody happy. So yeah. So I thought that was a clever way to handle it. Because I was always one of those kids that was always asking my mom, like, how was the Earth actually created in like 6 days? Because that don't make no sense. That seems kind of interesting.
My dad would always say that time was measured differently.
Yeah, that's what my mom would say. So, and
the
then
sun didn't get created until what, the 4th day or the 3rd day?
I don't know. And then my brother would learn
How
about
do
the
you
Big
measure
Bang
time without-
in science class, and so he came home all excited. He's like, "Oh, I learned what actually happened," and I don't know. So it just it sparked a lot of interesting conversations in my household. But I thought seeing Montezuma and having the water, Montezuma's revenge, kind of making a nod to that, little subtle things that might, not everyone might understand, but the kind of like Animaniacs, the little kids may not get some of the references, but older people, they kind of understand those little references. So
yeah, totally. Like for a kid watching, they just go, "Oh, the baby, puked."
Yeah.
They don't care what the reason is. It just was funny that he made a noise and ran off. Yeah, and I think it was smart, not only time wise because it's a lot of stuff to contact, but they didn't really touch the subject of, like, while they did talk about creation and how the world started, they didn't talk about evolution and things like that. Where I think if Tom had started writing those things into it, yeah, that's when, obviously, even to this day, you're having public schools debating about what type of things like that are you going to be teaching our students about this, which is kind of silly that we have to have that debate. But yeah.
Yeah.
One more reference I got to mention before I get to your thoughts, Nathan. I guess, did we get to your thoughts on this last segment? Okay.
Yeah.
So one more thing I wanted to mention cultural reference wise, though, before we wrap things up, is there was a 2001 reference. We had Big Fat Baby in space, kind of like the Star Baby. There was a monolith, and then 2 of the Hysteria characters, I think Happy Bob and Toast, I believe, are like little monkey cavemen guys floating off in space, sitting on the monolith. So if you know your 2001, there's your reference. All right. I think with that, let's just go ahead and get to our water tower rating. Okay. So out of 5 water towers, how many would you give this episode, your first episode of Hysteria? Nathan, let's start with you.
All right. Well, since this is my first episode, I'm going to give it a 3. And that way I have room to go up or down as we go on.
I think that's actually pretty wise. What did you like about this as a 3?
I thought there was lots of educational things. I thought there was some funny jokes. But yeah, I guess I would want more songs that were educational. I'd want more... less of the word hysteria said, but I don't think I'm going to get that in any.
No, this is going to be like your newsreel of the stars, Nathan. It's going to keep repeating.
That's fine. By the end, I'll know the name of the show for sure.
One of these days.
So that's the good thing.
All right, Kelly, what about you? How many water towers?
Well, Nathan read my mind because I was like, I have nothing to compare this to, so I'll do a 3 as a baseline. I agree. I would want more songs because when the episode started, all I got in my head was the sun is a mass of incandescent gas. And which is not Animaniacs, but they might be giants. And so I want more songs, less screaming child. Is that going to continue
And I
to
don't
be
think
a thing?
we'll get that.
No, I think Loud Kennington's going to be repeating.
That's going to be my newsreel of the stars. But I mean, I like the educational aspects of it. I like the way it kind of handled potentially delicate topics, which shouldn't be delicate. I mean, it's just
yeah, it's true.
But
they are.
Anyway. But I mean, I'm not offended by anything most of the time. But
yeah,
I like the way it was handled, and yeah, I mean, I learned about the Auroch. I didn't know that existed. I'm always game for anything where I learn something. So might come up in Jeopardy someday. Who knows? So yeah, overall, I thought it was decent. I didn't like laugh out loud at anything, and but I wasn't bothered by a whole lot other than the screaming child.
All right. Well, I am going to give it. I've seen a few episodes of Hysteria, and I'm going to give it a 3.5. I think it is definitely a good episode. I did find myself laughing at and chuckling at a few things, and I enjoyed it. Now the next episodes, whatever that happens to be, we're going to find some other cultural references. And one of the things I appreciate in this show is that the voice actors, they very rarely try to sound exactly the way that the real historical character truly sounded like. You got a little bit of that today with a John Wayne kind of Mongolian, which in modern eyes, thank goodness they did that, because of course doing an Asian accent, parody accent today, people don't want to hear that in modern times, obviously. But so picking the sillier version, which is just to do a celebrity, I think it was a good choice. And we're going to see stuff like that coming up, like George Washington, voiced by Maurice LaMarche, is Bob Hope. I believe Johnny Carson voice for Abe Lincoln. So it's there's more songs in other episodes too. So I know there's some stuff to look forward to. So we'll just have to see what's next. It's going to come to really Nathan and Kelly. They're going to have to start figuring out what time in history we're going to talk about next on our next episode. I want
the listeners to tell me which one to listen to.
Okay, well, maybe I'll put out some feelers out there on social media.
Message me on X. Yeah.
Message Nathan on X. I don't know if you can do that anymore without changing your settings, by the way. We'll talk more about that later.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, then don't worry about it. Okay. Well, you can always message the Animaniacast. Hey, let's talk about contact information. Nathan, as he just mentioned, you're on X, and whether or not you can message him, or you can @him, I suppose, right? And Nathan logs in all the time.
I'm constantly logging in. Probably. Once I remember my password. Yeah, I'm on there. I've just logged in. Yep.
Okay, it worked. And your username?
Django FT. That's me.
That's right. Kelly, what about you?
I'm on X and Threads, Yoda Princess, YODAPRNCSS.
All right. Animaniacast, if you just want to just give your general thoughts on what we should cover, you can always contact the Animaniacast. We're on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and Threads and other stuff. And, of course, email animaniacast@gmail.com. And, of course, we're over on retrozap.com as well. Retrozap.com is an amazing place to go to for all your pop culture podcast and article needs. Check it out today. You can check our archives over there as well. You should. Yeah. Subscribe and like us and follow us and share us with anybody you like. That's a cool thing to do. It's what all the cool people are doing. Well, that'll do it for today's episode. So for Nathan and Kelly, this is Joey saying good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
This podcast is not endorsed by Warner Brothers or Amblin Entertainment and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Animaniacs, Tiny Toon Adventures, Freakazoid, the Warner Brothers logo, all names, pictures, and sounds are registered trademarks and or copyrights of their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of the Animaniacast unless otherwise indicated.
I like Bran a lot. Oh, sorry, wrong script.